Check this out, the Xbox 360 just got its most exciting software upgrade in its history.
The new Homebrew App Store is amazing because not only is it super easy to install over the internet, the library of content you can get in it grows all the time.
You need a mod chip modded Xbox 360 for this to work.
But even if you don't have one yet, stick around because by the time you see what you can do with the new Homebrew Store, you just might want one after all.
Let's fire up this mod chip modded Xbox 360 and check out the Homebrew Store together.
For this example, I'm using a slim model Xbox 360. It's been modded with what's called the RGH3 modification. It interrupts the timing of the typical boot up process and allows custom software and dashboards like Aurora to run instead of the typical dashboard you'd see on an Xbox 360. When Aurora loads, you'll see a cover flow menu like this one. To get access to the Homebrew App Store, connect your Xbox 360 to the internet either by Ethernet or Wi-Fi. First step, press the back button on the Xbox 360 gamepad. Near the top part of the left navigation pane, you'll see a menu choice called Scripts. Come down to it with the D-pad and press the A button on the gamepad to select it. In the Scripts submenu, use the D-pad to move the highlight down to the listing that says Aurora Repo Browser. If you're wondering why I said it so slowly, it's because several times I said things like Aurora Repo Browser, and I put some W's in there with some of those R's too. Okay, at the Repo Browser, scroll down to the bottom listing that says Utility Scripts, and then press the A button to select it. And this is where you'll find the installer script. It's called Homebrew Store, and at this point they're already up from version 1.0 to version 2.0 in just a matter of days. Amazing! To install the Homebrew Store, scroll the highlight down to it with the D-pad and then press the A button on the gamepad. You'll see a confirmation message appear asking you if you want to install it, and in this case you do. Make sure that the highlight is set to yes and press the A button on the gamepad. The Homebrew Store is installed, but you can't access it from here. Here's what you do. Press the B button on the gamepad, then press the B button again, and there it is, the Homebrew Store version 2. It's worth noting here that this is where you're going to launch it each time, but you would not go through that install process each time to get to it. Instead, when you're at the Aurora dashboard, press the back button on the controller, come back down to Scripts just like you did previously, and press A. This is the entry point each time to the Homebrew Store. It's really cool that it's so easy to set up, but what can you actually do with the Homebrew Store? To find out, bring the highlight down to it and press the A button on the 360 gamepad. The Homebrew Store points to a series of repositories online from a website called consolemods.org. Let's take a look at the categories and what kind of content you can expect to find in each of them. First up is the Homebrew Apps section. Instead of digging deep into every single one of these, I think it makes sense to just kind of take a look at these from an overview so that you get a sense of what kind of applications you can expect to find in the Homebrew Apps section on the Homebrew Store. I'll head back to the main menu of the Homebrew Store here so that we can go down to the next section, which is the Homebrew Games section. Since we're all gamers here, understandably, this is the section most of us are going to be interested in. A quick note here for YouTube's robots and YouTube's personnel. These are not commercial games. These are homebrew games made by indie developers and given away for free to the Xbox 360 community. There's no commercial content here, but what is here is a collection of fine homebrew games that you can play on your Xbox 360 by downloading them immediately from within the Homebrew App Store. I'll load up one of these games in just a moment that was made inside a very specific type of homebrew game development engine. Next up, you can now download emulators directly from inside the Homebrew Store. This kind of takes away some of the extra work of having to put the emulators on a USB drive and install them manually. There are a number of high-quality emulators here that will let you play backups of your retro gaming favorites. And just like with the other types of content in the Homebrew Store, you can expect this list to continue to grow as well. Don't like the way the main menu of your Xbox 360 looks? Think it needs a fresh coat of paint? The dashboard section has got you covered. Inside this section, you'll find a variety of options that will let you change the overall look and feel of your Xbox 360 dashboard. Sometimes a homebrew app just doesn't fit nicely inside one of these categories. That's why there's a section here called Others. Inside this category, you'll find some things that look quite similar to some of the other categories, and some things that are just otherwise not categorized in one of the other sections of the main menu of the Homebrew Store. But as the number of items inside the store continue to grow, you'll likely see the main menu evolve to include additional categories, and they'll be able to move things out of the other category into main menu categories instead. Back on the main menu, as Steve Jobs used to famously say, there's one more thing. There's a menu item here and it's called Enter URL. If you scroll down to it and press the A button, You can add additional repositories outside of consolemods.org. Once they're available, you can type that address in here to access the content. Now that you've seen the kind of things you can get inside the Homebrew store, let's download a Homebrew game and test things out. I'll use the D-pad here to bring the highlight down to the Games section and press the A button to drill in. There's a really cool Homebrew game in here, and it's called 𝐵𝐸𝐴. It's built in a game engine of the same name that's used to create Streets of Rage style beat-em-up games across multiple game platforms. To install a Homebrew game, highlight it and select it with the A button. Then at the confirmation screen that appears, select Yes with the A button. Depending upon the size of the content that you're trying to download and the type of internet connection and speed that you have, this can take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes. It's hard to believe, but the Xbox 360 will soon be 20 years old. Wired internet speeds are maxed out at 100 megabits, and Wi-Fi speeds are maxed out at about half that. In this case, it took about 1 minute to download the game. So the game has been downloaded and installed, but before you can play it, Aurora needs to refresh and restart. If you press the B button on the Xbox 360 gamepad several times, you'll see this screen, where you'll be notified that Aurora needs to be reloaded. At the confirmation prompt, select Yes with the A button. Give your 360 a moment to catch up, and you'll be back at the dashboard for Aurora. First things first, let's make sure that 𝐵𝐸𝐴 was actually installed and ready to play from the dashboard. So I'm going to scroll through the alphabetical listings here until we get to the listing that says 𝐵𝐸𝐴. In this case, not only is the game installed properly, but box art for the cover flow menu is also present. A lot of the Homebrew content you install will have proper artwork already placed on the dash for you. But what if it doesn't? There's a really easy workaround for this. With your Xbox 360 connected to the internet, press the Start button on your gamepad. In the navigation pane on the left side of the screen, the first listing here is called Assets. It's the first listing at the top of the left navigation pane, and it should already be highlighted by default. If you come over to the right side, you'll see two listings here. The first one is called Download. This will download any of the art assets that you have highlighted in the radial buttons or checkboxes below. Once that's done, come over to Import and select it with the A button. This will take the downloaded assets and import them into your game content. Once that process is complete, press the B button on your gamepad, and you'll see any updated artwork assets for your game in the cover flow menu. The work is done, time for some play. I'll select 𝐵𝐸𝐴 here with the A button on the gamepad. Just like it says here, this game is not made by Sega, not made by SNK, and it's a Homebrew game. But I can say this with no fear of error: if you're into beat-em-ups, 𝐵𝐸𝐴 is your jam. It's one of the many great pieces of Homebrew content that you can download through the Homebrew store. By the way, did you know you can play Xbox 360 games without owning an Xbox 360 at all through the power of emulation?
Watch this video shown on screen and linked in the description and pinned comment to learn how to use the Xenia emulator to play your favorite 360 games on your PC.